Two French military commanders are walking casually through the drifting smoke of an active combat zone. They are entirely unarmed, and they are heading straight toward a heavily fortified bridge. Pointed directly at them is a mass of heavy artillery. The bridge itself is wired with explosives and surrounded by enemy guards waiting for an order to fire. The year is 1805. Napoleon's army is sweeping through Europe in what will become known as the Austerlitz campaign. This map of the 1805 campaign shows the problem facing the French. To continue their advance, they desperately need to cross the Danube River at Spitz. This single geographic barrier creates a tight bottleneck, and the entire campaign's success relies on finding a way across. Their only option is the Tabor Bridge, a long wooden structure that provides the sole viable crossing point in this entire sector. The retreating Austrians know this. They have prepared the bridge for total destruction, setting up a mass of heavy guns at the far end to ensure the French cannot rush across. Standing behind those guns are ranks of heavily armed Austrian infantry and combat engineers, waiting in formation to repel any attack. This creates a severe tactical dilemma. A frontal assault by the French troops guarantees that the Austrians will detonate the explosives, destroying the bridge and causing catastrophic casualties. Military force alone cannot solve this problem. The French need the bridge completely intact, meaning conventional weapons and overwhelming numbers are useless here. Faced with an impenetrable defense, French Marshals Murat and Lannes decide to bypass the artillery entirely. They choose to attempt a psychological bluff. They step directly onto the wooden timbers of the bridge, walking in full view of the Austrian engineers who are standing by to light the fuses. Reaching the far side, the two commanders confidently brush past the bewildered Austrian guards. They approach a flustered junior officer and deliver a blatant lie. They inform him that an armistice has just been signed and that the bridge is now officially French territory. Asserting that peace protocols are active during a tense standoff causes immediate psychological paralysis among the defenders, who are trained to obey official ceasefires. Unsure of what to do, the confused junior officer rushes off to find his commanding officer to verify the claim. With the Austrian chain of command temporarily distracted, French infantrymen begin quietly filtering onto the bridge behind their marshals. To physically reinforce the illusion of a relaxed ceasefire, Marshal Murat walks straight up to the Austrian defensive line and sits directly on one of their loaded cannons. The scene is set for the arrival of the Austrian commander, Count Auersperg. He is an elderly general, amiable, but highly vulnerable to this kind of confident deception. Auersperg talks with the French marshals. He believes their fabricated story of an armistice and agrees to remove his troops and his guns, handing over the intact bridge. Without firing a single shot, the French dismantle a heavily fortified position by exploiting the misplaced trust and flawed judgment of a single commander. In the immediate aftermath, the French army pours across the wooden bridge. They achieve a crucial strategic crossing without shedding a drop of blood. This timeline illustrates how capturing the Tabor Bridge directly accelerated the movement of French forces, setting the stage for their decisive triumph at the Battle of Austerlitz shortly after. A vast shift in European power was enabled entirely by a short, deceptive conversation between the three men on a wooden bridge. It shows how massive, macro-level historical outcomes often hinge on the small-scale psychological vulnerabilities of the people in charge. For Count Auersperg, there was no humor in this deception. His gullibility had severe personal consequences. The historical record shows he was court-martialed for his massive blunder and sentenced to be shot. Though he received a reprieve from the emperor, the hapless general spent his final days in a prison cell. We often study military history through the lens of weaponry, troop numbers, and tactics, yet a single psychological error or a well-delivered lie can dismantle the strongest defenses. This leaves historians to ask, how much weight should we give to the personal decisions and psychological vulnerabilities of individual leaders? It forces us to reconsider whether military history is truly driven by technological superiority or ultimately decided by human fallibility.